football fans. Big Al here on this Tuesday, November 26th, 2024, and welcome in to the Week 14 college football television schedule and the announcers for every single game this week. And boy, it's going to be a busy week. It all starts tonight with 2 games. And then we have an off night on Wednesday. We have 2 games on Thanksgiving. And we have 14 games on Black Friday. And then your full slate on Saturday. So it's going to be a real busy week as we wrap up the regular season in college football. My Week 12 edition of the week that was, where we take a look at every player and team statistical numbers from all games in the NFL, that is up right now if you want to check that out, which also comes with my Week 13 power rankings, the NFL playoff picture, and the latest rankings from both the AP and AFCA coaches poll. All of that is in that video. It's up right now. Go ahead and check that one out. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. And let's jump in to the Week 14 college football television schedule and all the announcers for every game this week. And we will start off with the 2 Mid-American Conference games coming up tonight. Both are at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. ESPN2 has Toledo at Akron with Matt Schumacher and Dustin Fox. And ESPN Plus will have Kent State at Buffalo with Michael Reggie and Ryan Kavanaugh. Then you have no game scheduled for Wednesday, so we'll go straight to Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, November 28th. You have a game during the day and one at night. At 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on ESPNU. You've got Tuskegee at Alabama State with Tiffany Green and Jay Walker. And at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on ESPN is Memphis at Tulane. That will be a pretty big matchup with Matt Berry and Dan Mullen. Then you got Black Friday, where again you have 14 games on the schedule, including 6 starting at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. ABC has Oklahoma State at Colorado with Mark Jones and Roddy Jones. CBS has Minnesota at Wisconsin with Tom McCarthy and Jay Feely. Fox has Oregon State at Boise State with Tim Brando and Devin Gardner. On ESPN, it's Navy at East Carolina with Anish Shroff and Andre Ware. On ESPNU, it's Miami of Ohio at Bowling Green with Noah Reid and Craig Howard. And on CBS Sports Network, it's Ball State at Ohio, and there is no broadcast team announced for that game. Then you'll have 4 more games at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. ABC has Mississippi State at Ole Miss with Bob Wischusen and Louis Riddick. FS1 has Utah State at Colorado State with Chris Volsters and Sed Bonner. CBS Sports Network has Liberty at Sam Houston with Alex Del Barrio and Taylor McHargway. And on ESPN Plus, it's Texas State at South Alabama. There is no broadcast team announced for that game. At 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on CBS, it's Stanford at San Jose State with Rich Waltz and Ross Tucker. On ABC, you have Georgia Tech at Georgia at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific with Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palmer. On a special Black Friday edition of Big Ten Saturday Night on NBC, it's Nebraska at Iowa with Paul Burmeister and Colt McCoy. And at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Fox, it's Utah at UCF with Trent Rush and Robert Smith. That brings us to Saturday. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games starting at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. ABC has Tennessee at Vanderbilt with Dave Pasch and Dusty Dvorak. On Fox's Big Noon Saturday, it's the big one between Michigan and Ohio State with Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt. ESPN has South Carolina at Clemson with Roy Philpott and Sam Acho. ESPN2 has Kansas at Baylor with Clay Matvick and Steve Adazio. FS1 has West Virginia at Texas Tech with Eric Collins and Spencer Tillman. On ESPNU, you've got Louisiana at Louisiana Monroe with Courtney Lyle and Renee Eagle-Gila. On the SEC Network, it's Louisville at Kentucky with Dave Neal and Aaron Murray. BTN has Illinois at Northwestern with Chris Volsters and Matt Millen. On the ACC Network, it's Duke at Wake Forest, George Sedano and Orlando Franklin. On CBS Sports Network, it's UTSA at Army with Dave Ryan and Adam Brenneman. And you'll have 2 games on ESPN Plus at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Connecticut at Massachusetts has no broadcast team announced for that game. And North Texas at Temple with Joe Torti and Legard Duzable. Then at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, streaming on ESPN Plus, it's Eastern Michigan at Western Michigan with Michael Reggie and Ryan Kavanaugh. At 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on NBC, you've got Grambling versus Southern being played at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, and there is no broadcast team announced for that game. And then you'll have 4 games on ESPN Plus. You'll have Coastal Carolina at Georgia State, Middle Tennessee at Florida International, Southern Miss at Troy, and there are no broadcast teams announced for those 3 games. And you'll also have South Florida at Rice with David Saltzman and LaDarren McClain. At 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific on the CW, it's Pittsburgh at Boston College with Tom Brenneman and Max Brown. And streaming on ESPN Plus at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific is Old Dominion at Arkansas State. And there is no broadcast team announced for that game. Now to the late afternoon portion of the schedule. You'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 games starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. ABC has Auburn at Alabama, the Iron Bowl, with Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy. On the Home Depot Big Ten on CBS, it's Notre Dame at USC, with Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson. On Fox, it's Arizona State at Arizona in the Territorial Cup, with Jason Benetti and Brock Huard. ESPN has Miami at Syracuse, with Mike Monaco and Kirk Morrison. ESPN2 has California at SMU, with Brian Custer and Rod Gilmore. On FS1, it's Rutgers at Michigan State, with Dan Hellie and Petros Papadakis. On the SEC Network, it's Arkansas at Missouri, Taylor Zarzour and Matt Stinchcomb. You'll have 2 games of regional interest on BTN at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Many will see Maryland at Penn State with Jeff Levering and Jake Butt. Others will see Fresno State at UCLA, and there is no broadcast team announced for that game. On the ACC network, it's NC State at North Carolina with Chris Cotter and Mark Herzlich. On CBS Sports Network, you got Central Michigan at Northern Illinois with Jordan Kent and Randy Cross. And then you'll have two games streaming on ESPN Plus at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. You've got Florida Atlantic at Tulsa with James Wesleyan and Patrick Murray. And UAB at Charlotte with Noah Farray and Reggie Walker. At 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on ESPNU, it's Jacksonville State at Western Kentucky with Matt Schumacher and Dustin Fox. The three remaining games are on ESPN Plus, including TCU at Cincinnati with Richard Cross and Barrett Brooks. And then Kennesaw State at Louisiana Tech and UTEP at New Mexico State have no broadcast teams announced for those two games. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, streaming on ESPN Plus, is Appalachian State at Georgia Southern, and there is no broadcast team announced for that game either. At 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific on the CW, it's Wyoming at Washington State with Ted Robinson and Ryan Leaf. And now to the evening portion of the schedule. 3 games at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and 3 more at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. At 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, it's Oklahoma at LSU with Tom Hart and Jordan Rogers. ESPN2 has Florida at Florida State with Jay Alter and Rocky Boyman. And FS1 has Purdue at Indiana with Tim Brando and Devin Gardner. Then at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on ABC's Saturday Night Football, Texas at Texas A&M with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. On Fox, it's Kansas State at Iowa State with Connor Onion and Mark Helfrich. And on Big Ten Saturday night on NBC, it's Washington at Oregon with Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge. At 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on ESPNU, you've got Marshall at James Madison with Lowell Galindo and Fozzie Whitaker. On the ACC network, it's Virginia at Virginia Tech, Wes Durham and Tom Luganville. On CBS Sports Network, it's Nevada at UNLV, John Sadak and Robert Turbin. Then at 10:15 p.m. Eastern, 7:15 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, you've got Houston at BYU with Dave Fleming and Brock Osweiler. On ESPN2, it's Tennessee State at Montana with Roxy Bernstein and Jay Walker. At 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on FS1, you've got Air Force at San Diego State with Evan Lepler and Charles Arbuckle. The final game of the night is at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific on Hawaii pay-per-view and Team One Sports. New Mexico at Hawaii. And there is no broadcast team announced for that game. And that is it for the Week 14 college football television schedule and the announcers for every game this week, as the regular season will draw to a close after Saturday. Join me again tomorrow as we'll look at the Week 13 NFL picks both straight up and against the spread. We'll also have a look at the latest college football playoff rankings, which again will be released in a few hours. And I will have those for you tomorrow. And we'll take a look at the injury reports from the 3 Thanksgiving Day games, the Bears and Lions early. Then you have the Giants and Cowboys mid-afternoon. And the Dolphins and Packers in prime time. I will have the injury reports for all 3 of those games when I make my picks tomorrow. So make sure you join me. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching. Happy Thanksgiving and enjoy the pigskin this weekend. Peace out.